Hey, welcome back. Thought it would be a good time to do another check-in on the song Freedom. This is the third part. So the first part I kind of started on the piano, mumbling words and coming up with general idea. Second one, I jumped into the DAW, started laying out the structure, started doing sound design, and arrangement. And then since that video, I've worked finalizing the arrangement, cleaning up the parts, re-recording vocals, improving the performance, adding extra backing voices, adding vocal effects, and mastering. I don't know if I can call it mastering because, like I said, I'm kind of new to mixing music, but basically shaping it, balancing it, making sure it's going to sound good. Do a couple mastering things, but I'm not really uh, qualified, I think, to master a real track. But I do when I say I do things like mastering, I'm checking my LUFS, my loudness, see if it's competitive. Compressing it, the sound, gluing everything together, checking the frequencies, so like how it's gonna sound on a cell phone. It's like removing the low end because cell phones don't have very good quality low end. So you remove that low end and hear what it sounds like that way. I can show you that actually. So here's in the middle of the chorus, find a loud part. So if I go to the way I set it up, so I've got all my individual tracks, and then I bust them, I group them. I've got all my backing vocals, and then that's grouped in this group called chorus. And then on every group, I put a glue compressor and a limiter so that the glue compressor helps glue that group together, solidify it, and then the limiter makes sure. Oh, I got a doubler. That's weird. Sorry. Usually I put. That's a particular group I wanted to double, so I guess I didn't put a limiter on that, but I should. So this one, the vocal bus, the top group. I've got my solid comp bus. This is a mixed glue bus, or mixed glue comp. And then I've got this maximizer limiter that is for mastering, but I use it on the end of all of my buses to make sure that I'm gain staging the way I want. So I don't want anything going past -2 dB. And then the threshold this is my compression. So I push this down, I'll compress it against this ceiling. And I like 2 and 2 for the way I've set up my template. Seems to work well. I don't know. I'm learning as I go, so those may change in the future. But I found for now, if I have on every bus these settings, by the time I get to so I have all my buses, my band bus, brass bus, vocal bus, and then I have a mix bus that mixes the band, the vocals, everything together. And then I have this bus on top of that, this group on top of that, where I do shaping. This is where I do like shaping the entire sound. So I'll do another another mix bus to catch any other peaks that are happening there. I add my air, I add my saturation thickness, I do some final EQing that I want to shape the sound, and then a limiter. And then that's setting up for my master channel. My master channel, I remove anything below 50 hertz and anything above 18,000 hertz. I've seen professional tracks that have stuff up to 20 hertz. I can't hear past 15,000 hertz. So I'm not gonna make music for some, for someone else. Like if I can't hear it, they're not missing anything as far as I'm concerned. And anything below 50 hertz is only going to be for specialized equipment. I really don't care. Like these are demos. I'm sure a master engineer, producer would do it differently. But this for me works. I got a stereo field checker here, so I can change phases, set my bass to mono up to, I've set it up to 200 hertz. I can widen or narrow the stereo field. Then I do my final limiter. This one's set to -2 and -4, so I am compressing it a little bit, squeezing it a little bit here at the end. I just check how much compression. I keep this below -6 dB on all of these limiters because I don't really want them crushing the sound. I just want them catching the peaks really and flattening those out. And then I've got my plug-in here to check the LUFS. This is what's streaming to you guys. This audio, it's a virtual cable, and then my span, which is checking the spectrum. Yeah, so lost my train of thought. I don't know why I was showing you all that. I'm sure I started with a point. So yeah, was doing all my final balancing. I think the only thing I'm missing now is a better performance. I was really pitchy on this performance, and I was really struggling because I couldn't get the vocals to sit. And I kept thinking, oh, I'm not singing it well. So I looked up reference tracks of 21 Pilots, listening to their stuff because I really like it. I was like, why does his voice fit in so well? And I thought it was the way I was singing or my tone. I was trying opening my throat more, or I was trying nasal, all this stuff. What finally worked, because I tried like an experimental mix. So I saved this out as another file, and I just played around, removed all the reverb so everything was dry, and tried to match it to a reference track from 21 Pilots, the one called Stressed Out. And I couldn't. I matched like middle frequency, lower frequency, high frequency to theirs. And so it sounded pretty similar when I isolated those. But then when I listened to the whole mix, it sounded weird. It just didn't make sense. And it's because my song has a big trumpet section. It's got big piano part. Like theirs is mainly just beat, this weird synth in the background, drums, and the vocal. Theirs is like a big space with a lot of open, airy sound and like an in-your-face vocal and the drums. So when I thought about mine, I was like, well, mine's never gonna sound like theirs. It's just totally different. This type of song. So I threw that away, went back to my old mix, listened to it with fresh ears because I was working a completely different type of mix. So when I came back to the mix I was working on before, I appreciated it a little more. I was like, okay, this is sounding decent, but there's problems. What are the problems? Um, it was kind of by accident, actually, that it fell into place. I took off all the reverbs, or a lot of the reverb, because I thought that was the biggest difference between mine and 21 Pilots, is I had huge reverb, and it was very apparent. And I did want my track to sound like it was in a church or a cathedral, but I thought it was overpowering, so I pulled some of that back. And then I just said, okay, why don't I just get organized? Because this is like, I don't know where to start. So what I did was I put everything into these buses, because normally I had just one mix bus, and all of the different instruments were inside there, just exposed. So instead, I took my drums, bass, and bass piano and bass guitar, put those in a bus. I put all my vocals on a bus. I put the brass on a bus, and then I put the whole band, excluding the vocals, on the bus. And I did this because I thought, well, at least I can remix and rebalance. Like maybe the band's too loud. I could lower just the band versus the vocals, or I could just lower just the drums. Anyway, I did all that, and then I threw on my mix bus comp, my glue comp, my glue compressor, and my limiter on all those buses, and then everything just melded. It was great. And it got so much better sounding. So I'm pretty happy with the overall quality of the sound I came up with. Yeah, I did not get my gospel choir that I wanted. I'll show you what I did. What I did manage to. Sorry if I. You won't hear my speech when I solo this track. There's still some bitchy stuff in there. But I think once it's all together, it's not that noticeable. We'll see. If I can improve the pitch, I will. But that's something I struggle with a lot as a singer. My pitch wavers a lot. I have a really strong vibrato, so my vocal waves just go like this. And when I try and just sustain a note, I'm either have a really big vibrato, which sounds kind of operatic or classical. So when I try and sing like more contemporary and slow that vibrato down, I'm not used to being dead center in the pitch. Anyway, yeah, so gospel choir didn't work, but I like this kind of dissonant electronic sound that I came up with. I tried writing 4-part harmony for myself, and I sang the different parts, and I found that to be extremely difficult to sing the words. Let's see. Oh, I want my freedom. So I wrote 4 parts about bass, tenor, alto, soprano part. And I tried to sing all of them, but the range was too wide for my voice. And I wasn't being in pitch. Like, even one of the parts was out of pitch. It didn't sound good, or out of tune, out of key. And then also getting them to line up. It was very difficult. I mean, imagine having 4 people and getting them to sing in pitch all the right notes, and they don't have any written sheet music in front of them, like I did. I'm just, I'm kind of composing in my head. So that was too hard, so that I thought, okay, I'll do a unison choir. I won't do 4-part, I'll do unison. And sometimes church choirs are unison, and I like that, the way that sounds anyway. But then I was like, well, wait a minute, I'm only one guy. If I sing unison, it's just going to be like me doubling, tripling, quadrupling my same voice, which I already have plugins that do that. You really need all the different timbres of different, like, male, female voices singing in unison to get that choir sound. So in the end, I just defaulted to using this Waves plugin to create this kind of distorted sound. So yeah. But what did come out of that is the first time I've ever written 4-part harmony. And so when I was writing it out, I don't have music notation software. I just have Ableton. And so I just wrote it in MIDI. I grabbed my Kontact library. I grabbed my brass section instrument. Because I really like the way that sounds, and I think the way it articulates is similar to the way I sing, like bop 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 bop, instead of like strings that are like flowy. So I wrote the bass line out. I could show you right here. So I wrote this bass. that's just C, F, C, F, and that's just the root note of each chord that I play. So once I had the root, or the bass down, then I just did the soprano. And the soprano is going to be the melody, which is, oh, I want my freedom, just up high in the soprano range. That's not... That's actually more soprano range, but I dropped it down because I ended up not needing it that high for this first part. So I had my bass, which was just the root notes. Then I had my soprano, which was the melody. Now all I had to write were the tenor and the alto part. Excuse me. The alto part, I knew from music theory in high school that we're not supposed to have parallels that are moving in the same direction. So since my bass was going C up to F, down to C, so it was going up first, I started on G for my tenor, because the triad would be C, E, G, so that's a fifth. So I just did the inversion of the bass, of the bass part. So it goes G. Is that D? Yeah. G, D, G, D. So the other one's going C, F, C, F, and this one's G, D, G, D. And then that made the alto part pretty simple. I know the other one was going down on the first movement from first chord to second chord, so I just went up. And with alto, so whenever you're doing a triad, you need the third in order to make it major or minor. So I hadn't used that note yet, so I just grabbed a third of the triad, put it in here. And then I just started moving upward because I knew that the tenor was going down, and I wanted opposite movement. And then I just kept going up with it and listened to it to see if I heard some weird unison or anything, and it didn't happen. So this was the final result. Oops. Yeah. So I was pretty pleased with that. So anyway, I'd used these I had used this brass section to make my 4-part harmony, and I was going to replicate it with vocal recordings. I was going to use it as a guideline. But then, like I said, the choir didn't really work out for me, so I liked the way the brass section sounded so much, I just kept it. And so I just did something different with the choir. I did some more like generic sound, generic for me because I use that Waves plugin all the time, and I've gotten good results with it before, so I just went with that. Yeah. So then I kept the brass section. I did a bunch of different balancing so I could hear each of the different instruments. Made sure there wasn't masking going on, like my bass guitar. Sounds like I have a, yeah, if I auto-tune on. Oops. So like my bass guitar, I don't know if I kept it. Yeah. So I was when I was having problems with my mix earlier, I went through all my instruments to see which one of them, like if any of them were overpowering the others. And I went into my bass guitar and found that it didn't need anything above 250 hertz. Like, if you listen to it solo, there's a lot of lush information in there. But when you listen to it in the mix, you don't hear anything above 250. And there was a ton of information. It was just drowning out the other instruments. So I just removed it. So I did stuff like that. I think that's called like masking. Is it masking, or there's a term for it where one frequency is hiding another, like one frequency from one instrument is overpowering another one. I thought it was called masking, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead. I think I've talked about all the things that I did. I'm just gonna go ahead and play this for you, so that I have it on YouTube. I can listen to it tomorrow with fresh ears, without having to publish it to SoundCloud or something, because I don't think this is gonna be the final version I release. I'm sure I'll probably have a couple more tweaks tomorrow. But yeah, I'll put a chapter in this video so that I can get to it quicker. But if you've been following along with me, you wouldn't know about that. Okay, let's listen to it.
As a small child, I thought that I would grow up one day. I would claim my fame, I would rise to the top, make a ton of money, retire. But first I was gonna take that money, take my family out to the greatest place there is, Burger King. We were gonna buy the whole damn place, buy everything. But as I grew up, people got old, I got old, all my friends got old. What the fuck happened, man? People got jobs, got drunk, got fat. And I slowly lost my ability to rationalize my dreams. Got caught up as a cog in the machine, making money just to stay alive, you know what I mean. But oh, I want my freedom, I want my freedom, freedom just to be. And all I need is my freedom, my beautiful freedom. So give it to me freely, give it to me. So fast forward my life 10 years, got a whole new deal, got a wife, got kids, got jobs, stress, bills, a mess, gotta run, gotta get away, gotta find myself. Run over the hills, I'll be climbing and breathing the cold air and feeling like a new man. For a short time, I get a little bit of freedom, freedom to be myself. We all wanna be ourselves, and we all want a little bit. So I want my freedom, I want my freedom, freedom just to be. And all I need is my freedom, my beautiful freedom. So give it to me freely, give it to me. We were gonna buy that, we were gonna buy that whole damn place, that whole damn place. We were gonna buy that, we were gonna buy that whole damn place, that whole damn place. We were gonna buy that, we were gonna buy that whole damn place, that whole damn place. We were gonna buy that, we were gonna buy that whole damn place, that whole damn place. I want my freedom, I want my freedom, freedom just to be. And all I need is my freedom, my beautiful freedom.
coming back to it, I notice a lot of issues. I did a lot of work today, so I should be proud of that. But main things I hear: syncopation issues in my rapping. That's the biggest thing that bothers me. I'm not on the beat. I am up in front and behind it, and I'm just not hitting those downbeats. And so I don't have a flow. So I need to fix that. I think some of the repeats on my my secondary vocal track that like repeats what I say, like a delay. I don't think that delay is like lining up with the beats either well. It's kind of like throwing it off. Um, and then on the chorus, I think when I say like "give it to me," I think that's out of time too. So a lot of timing issues. Um, and then this last one when I'm singing, I think the vocals coming out too prominent as like a single voice. Like right there, I don't want to hear my single voice. I want to hear a choir. So somehow maybe I need to write a couple harmonies there to compete with that, because right now it's I can hear it in the center of all the noise, or maybe there's too much carved out frequencies around my voice, and I need to fill it in with something, because it just feels to me like it's right in the middle of a hole. I could just hear myself singing. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to do some more massage work tomorrow, unfortunately. I was hoping it was closer. But I think as a general idea, it's pretty cool. Um, it's different than I thought it was gonna be. I keep coming back to these brass sections. I love them. But yeah, if I come up with some sort of, I have like an epiphany tomorrow when I'm working, I'll write another video about it. Say what I did to like really make it flow, because I don't think it flows right now. But otherwise, I'll be posting this pretty soon, tomorrow or the next day. Yeah. Well, I hope you learned something with me. Yeah. I know in order to promote my channel, I'm supposed to be like asking you to like write comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. But honestly, I would like to hear from you, but I hate being a salesman. So if you want to just watch from, without commenting, or just be a voyeur, that's fine. That's fine with me. Mainly, I'm looking for views. If I see that there's views happening and I get some thumbs up, I'll be happy. I just want to make sure someone hears it at some point. So, anyway, peace.